to have you. The head of Nigeria's Economic and Financial Crimes Commission has been questioned by the State Security Service after he was suspended on Wednesday by President Bola Tinubu. Abdul Rashid Bawah is facing allegations of abuse of office. An investigation is now underway into his conduct. Bawah's suspension came just hours after he met with the president. A director of operations at the commission has been instructed to take over administration matters in the agency. And of course, Olumide-Fusika, a senior advocate of Nigeria, is a seasoned trial lawyer who joins us now to discuss the latest suspension by the Nigerian president, as well as review the trajectory of leadership changes in the anti-graft agency. He will look at why majority of EFCC chairmen usually end up being relieved of their appointments under controversial circumstances. Many thanks for being there. It's good to have you with us. Now, let's start with the legal process. Let's start with the legal process of this suspension. Did it follow due process, as it were? And what is the implication regarding this suspension of the EFCC chairman?
It's difficult these days to know what the legal process in Nigeria is. The law establishing the EFCC contains provision as to how these things can be done. Don't forget that he has secured his statutory tenure that he has, and there's a procedure to follow to get him removed. But you know, this is not happening for the first time. A bad precedent has been laid some time ago. Of the four substantive EFCC chairmen that we have had, only one, you could say, left having served his full tenure. The first one was chased out of office by the first one appointed as Nuhu Ribadu. And I'm using the word chase deliberately, chased out of office by, under the Yaradua regime. Magu, also left, he was suspended and then never returned to the office. The current one, also the same thing. So we've laid this precedent of, the powers that be have laid the precedent of, claiming to have suspended and then eventually as a way of getting them out of office. That's not to say, don't get me wrong, that's not to say that, I'm passing any judgment or making any comments on the reasons for whatever action that has been taken. But I think that if we want to be taken serious, and if we take ourselves seriously too in this country, I think we could manage to do things in a more decent way without bringing the institution down, because what we are doing now is capable of completely undermining the integrity of the institution. Well, don't let me say what we are doing now, the pattern of events since Nuhu Ribadu's time, how we get them out of office, has completely undermined the institution. Don't forget that it is supposed to be an independent body, it's supposed to be immune from political, prior influences and all that. But that has not been the case.
And what now is the trajectory of leadership within the EFCC with this happening?
Well, when you say trajectory, somebody has been asked to act in his place pending whatever investigation they claim they are doing. I would think, my worry, there's a larger worry, the way the DSS has its own mandate, or SSS, or whatever name we choose to call them. And I do not believe that some of these things that the institution, DSS, is being dragged into falls within its own, statutory role. Unless, of course, you want to tell us, and I hope they are able to show that at the end of the day that there is internal security implication or whatever. Whatever these fellows are said to have done is threatening the internal security of Nigeria. Not only the EFCC chairman, the CBN governor too, DSS. don't forget that we have the ICPC. So if and the EFCC chairman is a public officer, if he has done something wrong, ordinarily you would expect that it's better will be referred to the ICPC, which is the body set up with powers to look at corruption in official capacity and all that. And if you don't want to use the ICPC, perhaps the police. But only the president, I don't know the information that the president was given that made him to say that the DSS should be the one to investigate. So we need to just wait and watch and see whether there is any security, is he also involved in terrorism? Because, earlier on we were told that long ago, the CBN governor was alleged to, have done some things that has to do with terrorism financing and all that. Maybe that's the reason why the DSS was involved in his own case. But in this particular instance, what can it be said that we've not been told what exactly the EFCC chairman has done that warrant him being investigated by the DSS?
Very good, Mr. Fusika. Based on what you just said last regarding that notion, there's perception that the nature of these investigations are usually covert and not publicized at the end. We don't know specifically what they're being charged with, and the form of closure is often being denied the public, as it were. They have a need to know.
Not only that, if it's a security matter, they may not want to disclose it to the public at large. But for our own sanity, for us to continue to have confidence in these institutions, I think it's just right for us to know. Don't forget, in the case of Ribadu, there was a report submitted to the president, and all we hear, what we've been able to gather, just snippets here and there, rumor. Maybe he did this, he did that, and all that. Nothing concrete has been published to say, okay, this was the reason why we removed. So, which raises suspicion as to the motive for the removal. Maybe each government wants to have its own man in situ. In other words, somebody that is at his beck and call to be the head of the EFCC, which is wrong, So when they come in, they raise a lot of ulabalu and all that, and then just to get the person occupying the office out, as a way to bring in their own person. I'm not saying that is what is the case here, but that's the impression that independent-minded people would get from what is going on, and it doesn't speak well for our so-called anti-corruption war or anti-economic crime fighting in the international communities. That's why I feel that if was he not vetted before he became the EFCC chairman, the same DSS, I understand that before anybody can be put in that office, in any important office in Nigeria, the DSS would have done its own investigation on that person. So was he not vetted before he was made chairman of the EFCC? Was it a political appointment? It's sad that that position, which is supposed to be non-political, has become, it's almost like a political appointment in Nigeria today. You stay there when you are in the good books of the government in power. You are removed if you fall into their, bad books. It doesn't matter how well you perform. And I've not said anybody has performed well. It doesn't matter your performance. Anybody, if a person is not functioning well, if you are put in an office and you are not doing the right thing, or you are not performing the function of the office very well, yeah, you can be, one way or the other, encouraged, even told. It's not the mere fact that it's a fixed appointment doesn't mean you cannot be removed. You can be removed, but we shouldn't do it in a way to give the impression, which is what has been happening, that these people are just being removed because they fall into the bad book of someone in government,
And with this suspension,
what is
right. And with this suspension, what is to become of Abdul Rashid Bawa, in your opinion?
It's difficult. It will be impossible to say for now. We don't know the reason why. All we hear, is what we read on the pages of the newspaper, that he's been investigated for some undisclosed wrongdoing in office. Until we know what it is, perhaps the investigation will find him that the allegations are false, and then he will be returned to his office, or if found to be true, would he be charged to court? Because if he has committed, did he collect bribe? Did he finance terrorists? Did he undermine investigation that is supposed to be carrying on and all that? Everything is left in the realm of speculation right now, and until we have further facts on it, I think it would be dangerous to begin to comment on what will become of him and so on and so forth. We don't simply have the facts to know whether he's being oppressed, whether there's merit, whether there's substance to the allegations against him. Until we have this, it will be difficult to say anything. I think the only lesson that I can say can be learned from this is we should be careful, not to give room to speculation. The EFCC itself, and I keep on saying this, their own method also before is when they arrest somebody or whatever. Even before they arrest, they would have been publishing all sorts in the newspaper. This person is guilty of this person is this, he has stolen so. Rather than conducting investigation, going to after, if the investigation, you've completed it, laying your charge, if you found anything, lay the charge before the courts and then allow the court to take its own decision. But what they normally do is, we've arrested so person, he's currently cooling his feet in our detention center, we have arrested him for this, he stole so amount, he did so thing and all that, making ridicule of the whole process of investigation. I hope that is not going to go through the same process that the organization he was setting before normally subject people to. That he will not go through the same process in the hands of the DSS, that the investigation will be done discreetly as they have, and that the report will be made to the president, and that he will be given all his rights under the law, and that the president will act in the interest of the country, not in the interest of his political party, not in the interest of not in his own personal interest. If the man has done his job, diligently and was doing his job well, that he will not be oppressed, he will not be subjected to tyrannical use of power, that he will be, restored to his position if he has done nothing wrong. Don't forget that the job they are doing is very dangerous. The politicians that are majorly the people in power that they investigate, if they are in power, once they see them as just mere boys and that they can oppress and all that. I hope that is not what is happening in this case, and that the president of the country will act in the interest of Nigeria, in the interest of saving whatever is left of this country, by encouraging those who are really committed to doing something right for Nigeria to not to be chased out of office because of political interest. Let me put it that way.
Indeed, as you said, it's still a fluid scenario, and of course we'll be monitoring it. Mr. Olumide-Fusika, SAN, a lawyer, would like to thank you very much for your thoughts on Mr. Bawa's suspension. He's of the EFCC.